Hey, what's up, guys? Looking at Bitcoin right now on the almost the weekly chart, the 6-day chart here. It's looking pretty good still. I mean, yesterday, or actually this morning, we had a pretty big dump on the small time frame, and then bam, we just came right back up. So that was kind of interesting. So, but anyway, this is still the main idea, which would be, right, wave one, wave two, wave three, wave four, and now let's get wave five. That's kind of the idea. So let's jump into the charts here. Let's look at the small time frames, and you can see that big dump we had. It wasn't that bad actually. Let me go to, let's see, the 1 hour chart. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was actually this move here that was like a little bit concerning because it came down so fast. But now that you look and zoom out, look at how beautiful that is. That is a beautiful ABC right there. So we have A, we have a B, and we have a C. That's an expanded flat, right? And this is exactly what we wanted. We wanted this to turn into, like I said yesterday, a diagonal, or even better yet, a 5-wave move to the upside. Which a diagonal is just more overlaps, but you could see the 3-wave move here. So we have a very well a very good potential to get that 5th wave, right? So we came up in a wave 1, we had an ABC pullback, fair enough, and then we came up, we had like a 1 2, kind of like a 3 4, and a 5, okay, and that was our wave 3, and then we had our ABC pullback, right? So if we come up, and now look at this huge impulse here, right? So if we come up and we get another, maybe like a little bit of a pullback here, because that's quite high, right? You could see our resistance in here. So if we flag out a little bit, right, we can get an extended 3rd, 4th, and 5th wave there. That would look really, really, really good. I mean, and then we can get back up to this basically these local highs back over here set in kind of the end of August there. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a 5th wave to the upside. Why am I looking for a 5th wave to the upside? Well, because we had a 4th wave correction. We had a 3-wave pullback that looked pretty phenomenal, if you ask me. Now that some time has passed, right? You can see that beautiful expanded flat. So when we zoom in here, you can see, right, the C wave here, 1 2 3 4 and 5, right? That's your C leg, and this is an ABC for your B wave, and that is 1 2 3 4 and 5 for your A wave. So that is a 3-wave corrective move that is correcting this move to the upside, which tells me we're probably going to get a move higher. And look at that, we did. We got a move higher. We're starting to come down now. So let's zoom in even closer. It looks to me like that's about 5 waves there. Kind of like a 1 2, maybe a 3 4, and a 5. So I want to see this thing come down in an ABC, right, and then continue higher. So that's kind of what I'm looking for in the price of Bitcoin. Now, what if that doesn't happen? What if we keep going down and everything I said turns out to be not valid? Well, then I would look at it from this perspective. So that's a big impulse, by the way. So, we have to keep that in mind. And this is a beautiful 3-wave pullback. We have to also keep that in mind. But if we start breaking below this 56,000, basically $1,000 down, 56,752 is okay. But if we start breaking this and really the low here, then it's going to be okay. Maybe this is something different. What else could it be? Well, this could actually get more complex. So if we have 3 down, right? If we have 3 down, then this could be 1, 2, 3 back up like that. And then we would get another 3 back down. And then we would go higher. So it would be a much more complex. It would be W, X, Y. There's your 3-wave shape right there. Right? But the problem with that is now it's getting too big. It's getting out of proportion of this wave 2. You see what I mean? So that's a little bit of a sticky situation. Or this thing could be, if we have, let's see, 3 down, and if you say this was a flat here, right? So it's actually 3 down here, and this is 3 up, and then we get 3 back down, or even 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this comes A, B, C, right? And all this is a flat. Then I can see, okay, we come down here, we back test in this area, then we continue higher in that diagonal. So that would be 3, 3, right? 3, 3, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If we get something like that, then it's, the same thing. I'm going to be looking for it to flag out in here and then continue higher. So you kind of got like an ascending, broadening wedge pattern going on here if we get something like that. So that's very possible, and that's something we got to look for. But you know what? I'm looking at this. So far, so good. We're doing pretty well. By the way, that fire yesterday I was talking about in the video, look how I looked out the window and look how red it was. I walked out the door and it was so red. The camera actually didn't do it justice. Like the camera was trying to auto-correct all of the redness. But it literally felt like I woke up and I was on planet Mars. Like, that's how red it was. So if you just Google California fires, man, there's fires going on all over the place. And it just makes the atmosphere so weird. So when I look out, it kind of looks like ominous, like you're in a Twilight movie. Like you look down at your hands and you can't tell on a camera, you just can't. But when you're there, you look at your hands and it's like red. It's like you're literally on planet Mars. It was so strange and weird. But anyway, I was filming the video yesterday and I kept getting distracted because of how weird it was outside. And it was strange too because it didn't smell like smoke. Usually there's a fire nearby, I can smell the smoke. It actually was kind of cool. And it's kind of interesting because usually Southern California in the middle of August, September, it's freaking hot. It's in the hundreds, 100 degrees, right? But yesterday is actually kind of cool, and it was kind of breezy and it smelled kind of fresh. And it was just kind of bizarre. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that. This video right here, my wife took it. This was in the parking lot at Walmart. I mean, look at that. That is nuts. Wow. That looks pretty crazy, huh? And it's in the middle of the day, and it's so weird because it's usually bright, like, it's summertime, it's bright out. But that day it was so dark and it was gloomy and it was red and it was just odd. But again, the camera, when you're looking at it, you can kind of get a feel for it, but it's nothing when your actual eyeballs are looking at it. The camera, like I said, it auto corrects a lot of the redness. But yeah, that was nuts. Anyways, let's look at Theta here. The market's kind of pulling back a little bit, so we'll see how that plays out. Now, when I look at Theta, let me get to a smaller time frame here. There's a couple things that could happen. This looks to me like it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We have a 5-wave move, and now this is coming down for an A, right? And then we come up for a B, and then we come down for a C. So A, B, C. We get down here, maybe $1.14 or so. I mean, I would imagine this is some decent support here. We already came down and tagged it once, right? So if I just kind of put a little bit of a zone here, and we can do some fib analysis as well. But somewhere in this area, I'd like to see that ABC pullback come in, right? So that would be sort of my main idea there for Theta, is if we can get that move. Now, another way you can look at it is, by the way, the debate last night, I got a lot to say about that. If you want to hear my thoughts, just stick around. If you don't, I get it. But wow. Anyways, I think this could be a 1, 2, and then we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we have a 1, a 2. All of this is wave 3, and now this is wave 4. And now we have a 1 and we have a 2. We're getting a 2, and then we want 3, 4, and 5. And then what we would have is a completed 5-wave move. And that's kind of the one I think I'm leaning towards, simply because the third wave, simply because it doesn't look like 5 waves to me yet. I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, but that is all in the same degree, which means it's all in the same wave, which means that's one wave, which means it's, this third wave. So let's zoom in a little bit. And let me take all that off the screen. So once again, okay. So another way we can count it is actually probably even more nice, is a 1, 2, and then we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your wave 3. It ended here. And then this is an A, this is a B, this is a C. This is an expanded flat, just like what we had with Bitcoin. And that actually makes more sense, right? Let me put Bitcoin up for a second. Yeah. So you see that 3-wave shape we were just looking at here with Bitcoin? So if we match that up with Theta, that's actually where the third wave ended. So we could disregard the previous two ideas for now. I mean, they could still be valid, but statistically speaking, I think this is more what is likely to happen here. So the question is this 3-wave move finished, and are we going back to the upside for a wave 5? So you know what I mean? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, A, B, C, right? And now we have a 1, we have a 2, let's get 3, 4, and 5. Well, the thing is, if it's finished, then obviously it's finished. But if it's not, then, we have to look at a couple different options here. So this could be, we're looking at the C wave here. So we have A, B, and C. And inside wave C, we have 1, 2, 3, and then we have 4, and then we have 5. So it looks to me like C is finished, and we have a descending broadening wedge here for wave C, right? And then what do we have? And then here's the icing on the cake. We just had a massive pump back to the upside. I mean, this is not a little pump. This is a big pump here. It shot all the way down, and then it took it all the way back, right? And now what do we see happening? We see a mega first wave here, right? So let me go even smaller, let's say to the maybe the 3-minute chart. Now, I would have said that it's probably done, but you can see this wave here broke the low. Let me see if XRP broke the low. No, let me see. Solana. No, you know what? Solana, XRP, that was like it was a total low, right? So it wasn't, there, when you look at total 3, there's no dispute there that that's the low. But when we put Theta on there, so let me put Theta side by side. Yeah, see, that was actually a higher low. So that's kind of interesting that it was a higher low. But when I go back to the chart, it was actually on the Bybit chart, you could see it's a lower low. So that makes it a little bit challenging. So you could see one chart has a higher low. I think that's the Binance chart. And then on the Bybit chart, we actually have a lower low. So that kind of, sometimes that happens, right? And that kind of makes things a little bit more challenging. But who cares? Who cares? It's a 3-minute chart. It doesn't mean anything. It's just the small time frames. So, we can live with it or without it. It doesn't matter. But let me take that off here. And we'll just say, if this is a wave 1 and a wave 2, this is a wave 3, this is a wave 4, and a 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it looks like we got a 3-wave move here happening, right? I would say this is a B. This 3-wave move is a B. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then let's get 5. And that would be A, B, C. We would have a nice 3-wave shape. And then we want to see another impulse. We want to see another 3-wave pullback and a continuation. See, the more I talk about it, the more it's going to make sense to people of how Elliott wave actually works in real circumstances, right? And what to look for as a trader. And these tools, they might be simple, but they are definitely can be complex. But the more I go over it, the more I talk about scenarios, the more better equipped, you're going to be at looking at it yourself. See, you think, or I would say, and people think in general that I'm giving them an update about price. And that's exactly what I'm doing. But I'm also going over price in a way where it's teaching people how to look at charts and what to look for. That way, when you're trying to, let's say you just got a paycheck and you want to buy some crypto, but you're not sure, should I buy today or maybe I should wait a couple weeks, right? Well, you can look at the chart, not the 3-minute chart, but you can look at, let's say the daily chart, and you can kind of figure out, okay, do we have bullish divergence? Do we have bearish divergence? Do we have 5 waves down? Are we in the middle of a correction? Right? There's a lot of things that could happen. Instead of blindly just throwing money into crypto, not realizing where we are, right? That could be a problem. So, for example, right now, or I should say a few days ago, right? Last week, even, I was saying that I'm buying. And why was I buying? Because this thing is coming down, 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 down. But also, we had landed on a daily 9 and it was perfected, and we had a bullish hammer candle here, right? And we took out this liquidity below these lows here. You can see it wicked through and it bought back up. Yes, we did come back down and make a slightly lower low, but that's why you DCA. So buy a little bit here, came down, buy a little bit more, and just let it ride and wait and see what happens, right? And you can see we broke above these red dots right here, and you can see we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of bullishness. You could say, well, no, that's only 4 because this candle's red. No, just because a candle is red doesn't mean it's not bullish, doesn't mean it's not an uptrend. You can see here's the bottom of this, and then here's the top of the new candle. So this is actually, it's a red candle because it closed lower, right? But it's still, in fact, part of this uptrend, right? So that's a lot of candles to the upside, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles to the upside, right? And now you can see this candle here, we're starting to pull back, right? Which is a good thing. We need a pullback. So, you know, if I just got a paycheck and I want to buy, do I buy it now, right? Well, that's the thing. You know, I believe that this is probably going to be some kind of wave 2 in here. So we're going to pull back probably a little bit more, right? And maybe consolidate here and then continue higher up into this retracement level, right? So if we can get 1, 2, 3, then it becomes, well, is this a 3-wave move? Or if we consolidate here bullishly, do we get that 5th wave to the upside, right? And that's what I'm going to be looking for. I want to see 5 waves to the upside, and I want to see it get back to about $1.50, $1.60 area, back up to these swing highs up here. So that's yet to be seen. But anyways, if I'm buying, I'm going to be looking at even a smaller time frame here. And honestly, what I would do is I would wait for this wave to sort of correct here. But honestly, you know, this thing could keep marching higher. If this, because for example, if this is 1, 2, right, and this is 3, and then we have an expanded flat here for wave 4, then we should get wave 5. And you can say, well, how do you know that this is not the top of the 5th wave? See, the top of the 5th wave of the 3rd wave, right? So I'm saying this is the top, because if you look closely at the 5th wave, supposedly the 5th wave, you can see it didn't go up like the other waves did. It went up in this 3-wave shape. So that is not a 5th wave. Usually it's not, right? It's not a 5th wave. So that means this was the top, not this. This was not the top. This was just a correction that took out the liquidity to then bring it back down, right? So that's kind of how you know. So if that's the case, then we have 1, 2, and 3 waves down. So this is down, this is down, this is down. So that's all part of a correction going down. If that's the case, then that 3-wave move is probably finished. And if you notice, we have a big impulse that came to the top. So now what are we looking for? Well, when we zoom in, we want to see a 3-wave pullback here, right? And it looks like we're probably getting that now. Let's see. There's the 3-minute chart, and there's your 5th wave. Look at that. Look at that. We were just here a couple minutes ago, and I just said 1, 2, 3, 4, and I said we're probably going to get 5, and that's exactly what we got. Now, is the low in? Is this the time to buy? Is this the time to go all in? Maybe, right? I mean, heck, maybe I might buy a little bit. But before I would even think about doing that, I want to look at other charts and just get a kind of feel of what other charts are doing, right? I could see like Ethereum Classic also has a nice, or it's creating a nice 3-wave shape. I'm not so convinced that it's finished yet, right? We don't have any evidence that it's finished yet. But even if it isn't finished, you're still getting an averaged, right? Your dollar cost averaging in a specific area, right? So, but this is a pretty mega impulse here. And unfortunately, I did miss this dip. I saw it happening, but I wasn't paying too much attention. But now, ever since we have this big wave, I mean, I look at that as an impulse, and I look at this as we're flagging out. So I believe this thing's probably going to come up and hit the high. Now, if it doesn't, or if it, let's say it comes up and then it gets rejected, we come up here, we get rejected again, then it's like, okay, we keep getting rejected here. Then it's like, well, then we have, I mean, that's where trading comes in, right? To short the market, because you just don't want to Most people just hodl, which is fine, right? But during times where things are going down, it pays to have a couple shorts, right? Shorting the market, especially if the setup is right. But until that time comes, it's, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But for me now, I'm looking at this Ethereum Classic A, B, C, a nice three-wave shape here, right? We're flagging out. So let's see if that's the case. CRV. CRV doesn't really have a lot of definition in the waves. You can see it's just kind of straight up and then straight down. So it's a little bit difficult. A good chart has good oscillation. And now look at Theta. Remember I just said, should I buy? And now look, we came down, we broke this low here, right? And we had a bullish hammer candle. And then we had this sort of, this green, I wouldn't say like a gravestone doji. I don't know if that's the right term. But then we had this candle here. So, it looks like it's a probable three-wave move, right, for a potential trade setup. So A, B, C. Now, could this get more complex? Absolutely. And what does that mean? Well, if we have another move down, and then we come up in 3, and then we come back down in 3, then that's going to be an even better setup. Why? Because now you have a much clearer three-wave shape, right? And now it's very clear that it's a three-wave shape. Instead of the three-wave being in one wave, you have three waves that are separate from each other, right? So we have an impulse and we have a three-way pullback. I mean, that's exactly what you want, and we're flagging out, right? So maybe I would buy a little bit here, let it come up. If we get rejected, we come back down, maybe get a little bit more, right? So it's all about spreading yourself out because you're not too sure exactly where. Remember, this is not financial advice. I could be wrong and this thing can go to zero. I mean, you just don't know. But if you have the confidence, the conviction in what you hold, then it's not about, is it going to go up? It's about, how can I get in, right? Because it's going to go up ultimately overall as time progresses, right? And as the crypto market continues to make strides. You can see we're kind of dumping a little bit now on the 3-minute chart. You can see we're coming back down. Now, remember also what I talk about with wicks. You can see this wick here. It's a pretty big wick, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if this candle here came all the way down and retested this wick 50%. Now, if it comes down all the way down, right, and it sort of tags the low here, then at that point I'm gonna probably wait a little bit and see. Now I can zoom in a little bit more, and I only have 3 waves here, right? You can only see 3 little waves. So far I'm looking at this as an impulse and a 3-way pullback, and now we're continuing down. But if we come up, if this comes up a little bit higher, comes down, comes back up, okay, now I'm looking at it as a 5-wave move. And then what I would look for an A, B, C, and then I would probably buy right here, which is exactly where the price is now. But the difference is it had built the structure that I needed to feel comfortable going into a trade, right? So let's switch gears here, and let me just give my thoughts about the debate. Now, Kamala did actually a pretty good job, but does that mean she's? She memorized her lines pretty well. She actually did very well at the debate tactically, right? And even, I'm not saying that, a lot of other people agree too. Now, Trump did good too, but I think Trump has more, like, he's more hell-bent on making his case, whereas Kamala likes to dance around on things. And I believe that ultimately Trump is going to win and be president because people have common sense about things, right? So for her, for example, she has no originality. Like Bernie Sanders was a real grassroots movement. I don't agree with the socialist ideas, but at least he had a real, organic movement. She is part of the machine. She is not a president. She is an instrument of the machine, just like her and Joe Biden. It doesn't matter if it's Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Pete Buttigieg, whatever his name is, right? It doesn't matter who it is. That person will be basically coerced to do what the deep state Democrat Party wants them to do, right? So, for example, Joe Biden has no real control. And look at Theta. It's going up, pumping here on the 1 minute chart. We can just sit here and watch it as I rant on about things you probably already know. But no, seriously, I think there's a lot of things that could have been said better. I think Donald Trump has a lot of good points, but I don't think he can sort of orchestrate them in a way where it's like a slam dunk, like a master debater, like how he, talking about the border, repeating himself a lot. And I get it. I totally get it. But at the end of the day, I don't think people are going to vote based off that debate. I think people already know who they were going to vote for. I think people already knew who they were going to vote for 2 years ago, right? So I think, if I was Trump and I was on that debate stage, I would have looked at Kamala and I would have said, I don't blame you for inflation. I don't even blame Joe Biden for inflation. But I do blame the system that bred inflation. I do blame the system that has created people like Kamala, right? And we don't live in a people system. We live in a central banking system. This whole system is not based off American values and a liberty and freedom. It's based off money, power, and greed, all through the corporations, through the central banks, through the money printing, right? So for me, I think, Donald Trump doesn't want to speak on that stuff a lot. And I can see why, right? Because he needs people on the inside, right? If he starts mouthing off about central banks, then he probably won't get elected, right? So he kind of needs them for a little bit. But let's not forget who the true enemy is, right? It's not about Trump. It's not about Kamala. It's about people that think that we're basically cattle, and they just look at us as a digit on the screen. But we're essentially just nothing to them, and the debt-based system is what they are using to put leverage on government and basically having all of the power through their crooked system. So I would just say I want to live in a world where, and by the way, they didn't talk about crypto. Like, that was kind of a letdown. I would have loved to see, because that was the main reason I was watching. I was going to see if they could see anything, say anything about crypto, but I didn't hear anything. I just heard a lot of the same old talking points that we consistently hear about, right? The border, and abortion and all that stuff. And I mean, that stuff's important, but it's not the one all be all, right? And what really is the economy, which they touched on a little bit, but they didn't really give a plan. They didn't really talk about like, hey, I'm on day one, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to drill for more oil. I'm going to bring the price of energy down so that it can bring inflation down, right? There's a lot of things that were missed in a debate, and that's usually how it goes. But anyway, I'll end it there. I thought it was an shit show. I didn't like it a lot, partly because I thought Kamala was doing such a good job at sort of dancing around. But you know what? Trump made a lot of really good statements too. So, but I don't really I think she might have gained a little bit on him, but I don't think it was much. So that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But anyway, let's get back to the charts. Why we're all here. What's the actual important thing here is crypto. And crypto is important because it's a new, better form of money. And that better form of money is competition to our current system. And that's another reason they don't like talking about crypto either. Because they don't want, it's already mainstream, but more mainstream puts them at risk. See, they want to wait for their CBDC to come out, right? And then they can start signing off on regulation. So that they can have, it's kind of like China. China banned Bitcoin how many times? You know why they banned it? Because they wanted to put their digital yuan out there first. Once the digital yuan was established and it had the ground, right? It basically built, it did all the groundwork. Then that's when they said, okay, crypto can come back. Because it didn't matter at that point because the digital yuan was already there. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, I digress. So, Bitcoin, I basically touched on everything with Bitcoin here. I think this could be a fifth wave. Now, this could be it. This could be the end of the fifth right here. And you could say, well, what do you mean? It didn't break the top. It only came to the local highs. Well, it could be truncated, right? It could be a truncated fifth wave. So if I look closely, there's not really any definition here for a first wave. You could say 1, 2, 3. We have a running flat here for wave 4. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 perhaps. And then we have 3 down, 3 up, and then maybe 5 down. So A, B, C, right? So this whole thing could be finished. And now we're starting to come down here. Or 3, 3, and then we get another 3 down, right? But yeah, it could be a truncated fifth. So we just have to keep an eye out for that. I think that's it for Bitcoin. Let's go over to a few other charts here. Man, ICP looks pretty dang good right now. I thought it could be in some kind of triangle, but you can see we broke above that downward resistance line, right? So now it's starting to look more like a triple bottom here. You can see right there, right? And now we have an impulse to the upside. So it's actually looking quite nice. It's looking quite bullish here. So I would imagine this is an A, B, C. And now we have, this could be right here, a 1, a 2, a 1, a 2. And now we're probably getting another 1, another 2, right? Before we get even going up in that third wave there. So yeah, ICP looks pretty good. Theta fuel, Theta fuel, and really all the coins that look like this, it really comes down to two things. Is this 3, and now is this 3, and then we're gonna get 3 later, or is this 1 and this is a 2, and now this is an ABC pullback, and now we have a 1, a 2, and now we're going to continue going higher. right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking for Theta. Fuel, Filecoin, same thing. Is this going to be part of a three-wave move, how that, like that was? And if it is, then we would still go up later on. If it's not, then this is 1, this is 2, and this is an A, B, C for wave 2. So we would put it over here, and then this is a 1, this is a 2 of the third, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking here for basically the whole market. Let's get over to XRP here, and looking at XRP versus Ethereum, man, that looks really, really tight in there. You can see that trend line there. It's like perfectly going up here. So that's a sort of like a rising wedge, and we don't want that. But I think this is just part of a B wave. So my prediction here, or my outlook here for XRP, is that this is an A, this is a B, and now we're going to get C, right? And then, let me zoom out. Yeah, and then this whole thing becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's your wave 1. And then we have A, B, C. That's our wave 2. And then once we get down here, you can see support, right? Support in here. All of this, basically this zone here, where you have your inverse head and shoulders. We come down, we back test that zone, and then we rip really, really strongly to the upside in a wave 3. So that's my main idea. Now, could the wave 2 already be finished? It could. It could, right? And if it is, then what would the count be in that sort of rising wedge that we were just looking at? Well, that's always the difficult part. Well, I would say then that this whole thing was an ABC, right? And now this is some type of ascending triangle, right? And we're basically oscillating in here, and this thing's going to break out to the upside. And you know what? I give it literally a 50-50 chance on either one, because now that I look at it, it actually looks really good. And I really like this right here. Let me show you the current price action. So let me zoom in to the 1 hour. So look at this on the 1 hour chart. It looks nice. We have this downward trend here, right? And usually these downward trends will break to the upside. And if it does break to the upside, then you're breaking above all this liquidity here. And the measured move, we would just take a line back to there, and then just, whoops, and then just put it right there. And that gets us about to those equal highs. And you know what? Okay, now I got you. Now I got you. Okay, so what it's probably doing is it's probably we have 3 up, right? And now we have 3 down, right? And then we're going to get 5 or 3 up. And this is going to be an A, B, C. So it's part of a larger 3-wave move, because we need a bigger retracement here. So if we put the retracement on from here and we go all the way down, I mean, we've only made it to the 382. I mean, that's it, right? I mean, that's all we made it to is around that 382. So I think we probably got to go a little bit higher, maybe to the 618, 702, which means that this is going to break out and get up here and then come down. Now, when it comes down, it could be a running flat, right? Or, I mean, it could be, a running flat, or it can come down and be an expanded flat. So I think that would be the main idea there. So come back up, come down, and then shoot up like no tomorrow. XRP versus Bitcoin looks okay. I'm wondering if this is, I guess it would make sense too. We have 3 down, and maybe this comes up in 3, and then we get another 3 later, and then we go, and this whole thing becomes WXY. This is your 3-wave move there. Yeah, I think that works. So let's look at Theta and BTC. Okay, so Theta versus Bitcoin here. Let's zoom out. So we might have just finished here, you know, because if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we got 5 here, I'm wondering if that's the case, or even a 1, 2 in here. All of this is 3, 4, and 5. But in any way you look at it, I'm looking for a retracement much higher in the price of Theta versus Bitcoin, back up to here. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. So we have this big impulse, we came all the way down, we're right at support here, right? And you can see this move here, it was only a 3-wave move. So if this turned into 5, it would be different, but it was only a 3, right? So if we zoom in a little bit, now we have 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So there's your 5th wave. And now we're sort of building a base in here. And you can see how we broke this low. We grabbed that liquidity, but look what happened. We came right back into it. So I would imagine consolidation, oscillation, right? And maybe we come down here and retest some of that wick, because that's kind of a big wick there, right? We could come down and retest 50% of that wick, but ultimately I think we're going back to the upside. So when I look closer, you can see clearly this is a 3-wave shape, and this is a clear 3-wave shape. So we're probably going to come down like that, which means this will probably go up later on. So 3, 3, 3, or 5. So yeah, I think it's looking pretty good here so far. And then if we get up here, then we want to see this pull back, and we want another wave higher, and then it can turn into a diagonal, and then we would flag out and then continue. So T drop, I have no idea what that's doing. So T drop came and sort of wick down here. Now if I take the wicks off, it makes things a lot easier to read. So I'm just, guys, that's T drop is, I know I got asked about it, but look, we got a base, we broke, we have a 5-wave move up, and now we basically have a 1, 2, we basically have a 5-wave move down, or we have 1, 2, 3, A, B, and then A, B, C. So 3 down, 3 up, 3 back down. So this is an A, B, C, building a little bit of a base here. I want to see a retracement, and then I want to see flagging out, and then I want to see a continuation higher. So that's kind of how I'm looking at T drop. Stock market, not really interesting. It's just hanging out. Solana. Now Solana has an interesting shape too. It's got this 3-wave shape here. It looks like a flat that's forming here on Solana. So if we can, I mean, it could be an expanded flat too, but I would imagine we would hold some support here and continue higher. It looks like a fourth wave to me. I mean, look at that thing. Thing's huge. Whoops, that's not the right one. But anyway, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to see 5. SHIB, you break out, you come down, right? We're back testing. Let's continue higher. That's how I look at it. Sand, render. You got a 3-wave shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got another 3-wave move here. You have a 1, 2. Let's go. QNT. Now QNT is actually a little bit surprising because it's actually been doing pretty well. And it's actually one of the few coins that actually broke back above its previous local high. You know what I mean? So it's already back at its previous high. So like when I look at Theta, right? Look at Theta's, you could see here's the top and we're right here at the top. Here's the top of Theta and we're still way down here. So QNT had a lot of velocity going back up. So that's probably one to keep an eye on. And it should, because it was so drastically oversold. H-bar, I mean, H-bar looks nice. It has these dojis right in here, exactly what you would want. Bullish hammer handles coming in, retesting some of this wick in here. I think the bottom is in. I think the bottom is most likely in, right? I could be wrong, but I mean, the altcoins that, you know, Bitcoin is kind of up in the air. The altcoins, a lot of them look like they could be finished. So, you know, the only thing I would say with Bitcoin is this could still be a WXY. So we would have 3 down, we have 3 up, and then we would have 1, 2, 3 back down. And that could be the end, which means we would need another low. But if we did another low and we quickly reversed and we started flagging out, that's going to be very bullish. It's going to be very bullish. Bitcoin dominance. I mean, Bitcoin dominance still hanging out up there pretty nicely. BNB. I'm just kind of getting an overall sense of the market here. It looks to me like we had, you know, boom, boom, boom. 1, 2. Now it looks like we're going to get 3, 4, and 5. I mean, that's just what it looks, right? I mean, I could be wrong. We can get up here and we could get rejected in the retracement levels and come down, and this becomes the 3-wave move right there. And then we go higher. But, you know, we'll reevaluate when that time comes. AVAX, you can see an expanded flat, kind of like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C, right? We have a 1, 2. Let's get 3, 4, and 5. Let's get back into the retracement level. We'll consolidate a little bit and then break up. I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it. Again, I could be wrong. Atom. I mean, Atom looks devastating. But it actually, you know, with a devastating chart comes opportunity. This is a huge 3-wave move. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom. Look at that monster 3rd wave. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Huge impulse. And then we have a 3-wave pullback. So it's easy when I draw it on here because now you can clearly see the lines. Right? build a base down here, explode to the upside. Algorand, same thing, kinda. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 3 down, we have 3 up, and we have 3 back down. So we have a WXY, we have a 1, we have a 2, right? So that means let's go up higher. Same thing with ADA. It looks like a 1, 2, 1, 2, A, B, C. Or actually, I would probably say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this be A, B, C down here. Now, I don't like ADA right now because it looks like it's bottlenecking, right? You see that? See how it dropped in and it's kind of doing this bottlenecking stuff? Usually it comes up and it'll tank to the downside. I mean, that's usually what happens. So if that's the case, I mean, which one's telling the story, right? I mean, you can make arguments for both sides. So it's really about following it day by day, right? And sort of ruling out what it isn't. But yeah, I can totally see that happening. And then it would look a lot like the Ethereum fractal, where we come and make that W shape, something like that. So you can see Ethereum right here, that W shape right there. And that's how it usually marks the low. But while all that's going on, I'm just waiting for XRP. I think XRP is doing really well. Now Fetch is too. Right? When we looked at Fetch on the smaller time frame, I mean, look at that. That was a textbook three-way pullback. We came up, three-way pullback. Boom, three-way pullback. Boom, right? It looks like it needs to come down and then pop the high. So, yeah, and then look at that. It looks like a nice inverse head and shoulders here. You can see that right there. I mean, it looks nice. It looks really nice. All right, now let's jump into XRP real quick. You can see XRP already did the bottlenecking, right, on the smaller time frames. So we came down here, it drops in, and then it bottlenecks, hits the floor. So that's like a three-wave shape there. So we had kind of like 3, right? We come back up, and it looked like a diagonal here, but it was actually a B wave. So we have a nice 3-wave shape, and when I zoom in, I mean, look at that candle, that bullish hammer candle there. I mean, it wicked down and it got bought right back up. So what I'm looking here for XRP is for a 5th wave. So we got 1 and we flagged out. 2, right? That's our 2. And then we get 3 and then we flag out. And now we want 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think if we get something like that, then that's going to be a really good sign for continuation. So you could see, look at this expanded flat right here. Boom, boom, and then we came all the way down. We shot straight up. So now I want to see it come down in a 3-wave move and then come up like this. If we get that, that's going to be amazing, because that'll be a completed sort of diagonal shape. And then what are we going to get? We got to get a big ABC, flag out in here, and then explode to the upside. Back to where I believe it's going, which is when we pull the retracement levels up here, somewhere around 58 cents, 57 to 58, right? That's where I think. I could be wrong, but we'll see. So, and if we get up here, then we kind of reevaluate. But anyways, that'll do it for this video. I will catch you guys on the next one. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you can, hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and look out for a members video this week, and I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.